Hey guys, it's Mrs. Johnson here, and I'm here to bring you the first video of our lesson video series for Intermediate Algebra A. Today we are talking about solving equations. We're in Unit 1. So our learning target for today is I can solve multi-step equations. That's what you should be able to do by the end of this video, or by the end of these notes. Just remember that when you're watching a lesson video, you have the freedom to pause it when you need to pause it, rewind it when you need to rewind it, if you missed something or you didn't have enough time, if you need to take a break and come back to it, if the bell rings and you're moving on to the next class. This is all about you. This is your time. You can personalize this to your own time and speed and ability. So we're going to get started. Up at the top of your notes page, oh, and this is also a good time to get out your notes page. When we're watching lesson videos, the white notes sheet should be out in front of you, as well as something to write with, and also probably a calculator. Sometimes a calculator is just nice to have ready. So up at the top of your notes sheet for today, we're talking about the 4 steps to solve every equation. The first thing that we have to do when we are trying to solve equation is to simplify each side of the equal sign by distributing anything that needs to be distributed and combining like terms. The second step would be to gather the variables to one side of the equal sign. The third step would be to use addition or subtraction to cancel the constant. And the last step would be to use multiplication or division to cancel the coefficient. So again, if those went too fast for you, don't forget that you can pause at any time. You can pause the video right now to take a minute and write those down if you'd like to. So let's take a look at practicing with some examples here. Now, this is a lot of stuff that you guys have done before, so hopefully these things are starting to look familiar from back in 8th grade. Let's take a look at number 1. X plus 5x minus 5 is equal to 1. Now, I don't see any distribution that I need to take care of, but I do see some like terms that I need to combine. So I am going to look at those like terms. I have x plus 5x, which gives me, remember the coefficient in front of x is a 1, so that gives me 6x minus 5 is equal to 1. Then I only have variables on one side of the equal sign, so I'm already good there. As long as you see each variable one time, then you're good. Then the next one would be to use addition and subtraction to cancel the constant. The constant is the one without the variable. So it's this positive 5 or this negative 5 right here. And to cancel it, I need to add 5 to both sides. Some of you may remember that you can draw a line down your equal sign to help you keep track of what's on the left side of the equal sign and what's on the right. If that helps you, you certainly may do that. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. That makes this go away. 1 plus 5 gives me 6. So now I have 6x is equal to 6. And then the last thing I would do is divide by the coefficient, which is 6. So I get x is equal to 1. All right, let's take a look at number 2. In number 2, I have 12 times the quantity of 2 minus x, that means that's in parentheses, is equal to 36. So I'm going to start with that distribution there. I do have distribution this time, so I need to take care of that first. Remember that when we're using the distributive property, we multiply the two things together. So 12 times 2 gives me 24, and 12 times negative x gives me negative 12x. I didn't change anything on the right. I have no like terms to combine. I also have variables only on one side, so I'm good with that part. Now I need to cancel the constant. The constant here is a positive 24. There's nothing in front of the 24, which means that it's positive. Sometimes that's confused with this negative that's behind it, but that negative actually goes to the 12, not the 24 that's in front of it. So in order to cancel that 24, I need to subtract 24. And I'm going to cancel those. That makes that go away. And 36 minus 24 is positive 12. So I have negative 12x oops, forgot my one there. Negative 12x is equal to positive 12. And then the last thing I would do is divide by the negative 12. So this goes away. I have x is equal to negative 1. All right, let's move on to number 3. So again, we're just solving equations, working through those steps to get that variable by itself. That's our goal there. Get the variable by itself. So in number 3, I have 6x minus 11 is equal to negative 2x plus 5, and I need to get x by itself. So I don't see any distributing that I have. I don't see any like terms on the same side of the equal sign. Here I have an x term and a constant. Here I also have an x term and a constant. However, I do have x's on both sides, so I need to fix that. Now, it doesn't matter which one you move, but I always like to move the smaller one so that I'm left with a positive coefficient. So negative 2x is the smallest one. I'm going to add 2x to both sides, and that makes this go away, and this gives me 8x minus 11 is equal to 5. Then I need to get rid of the constant, so add the 11. That's the constant that's with my x term. So that makes that go away, and I have 8x is equal to 16. And then I divide by the 8, so my coefficient. And x is equal to 2. So that was a 3-step equation there. We had to get rid of that, move that x term over to the other side, then we had to get rid of the constant, then get rid of the coefficient. Let's move on and try number 4. In number 4, I have some distribution to take care of. I have negative 4 times x and negative 4 times negative 3. So that's going to give me negative 4x plus 12 is equal to negative x. And I notice also that I have x terms on both sides again. So I'm going to add the smaller one. This one's a negative 4 and this one's a negative 1. So negative 4 is the smaller. Again, it doesn't matter. You could move it to either side. You can move either one and you're going to get the right answer. I just like to work with positive coefficients, so that's why I move the smaller one so that it's positive. Now I'm left with 12 is equal to negative x plus 4x is going to give me 3x. That's like a negative 1 plus 4, which is 3. And then the last thing I would do here is divide by the 3, and I get 4 is equal to x. Now you can write it like this. That's a perfectly fine answer. Or most often we're going to see the x in front, which means we'd have x is equal to 4. Those two things mean the same thing. Both are fine answers. All right, let's try number 5. In number 5, we have negative 10 is equal to 1/2 x plus x. So this is like having a 1 here. Like terms to combine. I have an x term here and an x term there, and I got to put them together. I have 1 plus a half, which is 1/2. You can write that as 1/2x, or you can write it as 1.5x. Both ways work just fine. So I have 1/2x is equal to negative 10. I need to divide by the 1.5. So that makes that go away. Negative 10 divided by 1.5 is negative 6.666666. And it goes on and on and on is equal to x. Now there's a couple of different ways to write this. You could write this as negative 6.6 repeating with the line over the top. That line is called a repetition, and it tells you that that decimal is going to repeat. Or you could write this as a fraction. Now point this piece behind the decimal point. 0.6 repeating is the same thing as 2/3. So negative 6 and 2/3 is equal to x. Same thing. Those two mean the same thing. Both ways would be correct. One more in this solving equations practice. Let's try this one. In number 6, we have x over 2 is equal to x minus 2 over 3. So now we need to cross multiply here. We've got a fraction equaling a fraction, or in other words, a ratio equaling a ratio. So I'm going to cross multiply to get to that x value. Be very careful when you cross multiply here. When I cross multiply, I need to put that in parentheses. So I'm going to have 2 times the quantity x minus 2 is equal to x times 3. Then this piece needs to get distributed, the 2 out front. So I have 2x minus 4 is equal to 3x. X times 3 is the same thing as 3x. Then I have x's on both sides. So subtract the 2x. And I'm left with negative 4 is equal to x. And I'm done. X is by itself. So that's my value there. Okay. We're going to do the last word problem at the bottom, and then we'll be done for our video for today. It says your school is building a new computer lab. 400 square feet of the center will be available for computer stations. Each station requires 20 square feet. Write and solve an equation to find out how many computer stations can be solved. So first of all, we need to have a variable that is representing our unknown. We're trying to figure out how many computer stations. So I'm just going to call it C. C is going to be my number of computer stations. Now, I know that each computer station requires 20 square feet. So I'm going to have 20 square feet times C for the number of square feet that the computers are going to take up. And I also know that that is going to be equal to 400 square feet because 400 square feet is what I have available. So I have 400 square feet to use. Each station requires 20. There's my equation. Then I just need to solve it for C. There's only one step here, just divide by the 20. 400 divided by 20 gives me 20, which means I can have 20 stations. Remember that every question that has words needs an answer with words. So I have to label my answer there. All right, this is going to conclude our video for today. Thanks for hopping on and listening. Don't forget to go back to Schoology and take the little 3-question short quiz that goes along with each lesson video. There'll be one of those every time you watch a video. Thanks for watching, and we'll come back together tomorrow.